Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening for tonight's board meeting, May 15, 2017. Everyone, please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I apologize. I can see we had an agenda or a quorum, but could you please call the roll?
Sure. In attendance tonight, Trustee McGreal. Here. Trustee Dalzell.
Here.
Trustee Pierce.
Here.
Trustee Zielinski.
Here.
Trustee Juarez. Here. Trustee McLaughlin.
Here.
Mayor Ryan.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, the reason we were a few minutes starting late here was the board, per ordinance, has the opportunity to select their own committees, and that's what they were doing this evening at 6:30. So we have those in place right now. What I'd like to do is I want to amend the agenda this evening and immediately go to letter C on the consent agenda regarding an action item under ordinance legislation. This way we can announce, as we do through the evening, who's going to be handling which committee, and they can speak to which. So I would defer to the Ordinance and Legislation Committee Chair, which would be Trustee Pierce. And Mike, what you're doing is you can speak to what's on the agenda here to make the motion and get a second so that we can, it's on the next one, Mike.
Okay.
No problem. First night.
Actually,
Okay. See it. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I stand corrected. Right, because Trustee Dalzell was on the previous committee until that committee is approved, is what we do. Thank you, Trustee. Go ahead.
I'd like to make the motion to approve the designated committee assignments of the chairperson and committee persons that were approved this evening for the Village Board of Trustees.
Second.
Motion and second.
Did we read the final list?
Were we going to read them out first before we voted?
I know we didn't, Rick didn't,
Right.
get to put his input.
Yeah, we probably.
We could certainly
maybe
do that.
The
Sure.
attorney
Sure.
can tell
Not a
us,
problem.
but maybe we could read them out.
Sure. Okay, so the
Trustee
clerk tallied these up.
Zielinski went over it with him.
Right. The clerk tallied these up, and this was the selections that we've had thus far, and the clerk we do this formally, and we'll post this on our websites and whatnot then, too. Under Finance Committee, the chair would be Trustee McLaughlin, with Dalzell, Pierce, and Zielinski as members. The second would be Fire Committee, with Trustee McLaughlin speaking to that, with Trustee Dalzell and Trustee Zielinski as members. The Police Committee chairperson would be Trustee McGreal, with Trustees Dalzell, Juarez, and McLaughlin as members. The Public Works is Trustee Juarez, with Trustee McGreal and Trustee Pierce as members. Building, Trustee Zielinski as chair, with Trustees McGreal and McLaughlin as members. The Health and Pollution chair would be Trustee Pierce, with Trustees McGreal and Zielinski as members. Water and Sewer is Trustee Dalzell as chair, with Trustees Pierce and Zielinski as members. The chair for License Committee will be Trustee Juarez, with Trustees Pierce and McLaughlin as members. Economic Development, Trustee Pierce as chair, with Trustees McGreal, Zielinski, and Juarez as members. Human Resource will be chaired by Trustee McGreal, with Trustees Pierce and Juarez as members. Village Properties, Trustee McLaughlin, chair, with Trustee McGreal and Juarez members. Insurance Committee, Trustee McGreal, with Trustees Pierce and McLaughlin as members. Ordinance and Legislation, Trustee Pierce as a chair, with Trustees McGreal, Dalzell, Zielinski, and Juarez as members. Thank you. And then IT, Trustee Dalzell will chair, with Trustee McLaughlin as a member. Boat Launch, Trustee Juarez will chair, with Trustees Pierce and McLaughlin as members. And then finally, Planning and Zoning, with Trustee Zielinski being the chair, and Trustees Juarez and McLaughlin as members. Very good.
So we have a motion and a second on the floor. I'd like to take roll on this to approve the committee's members, chair, and members listed as read into record. Trustee McGreal?
Yes.
Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Pierce?
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Officers' reports, starting with myself. On your agendas, you have on here the temporary appointment of the law firm of Odelson and Stark Limited and Luke Keller, an attorney for said firm, as administrative hearing officer for the Village of Alsip. Also, I'd like to report this morning I met with the owner-manager of the new Red Roof Inn that was formerly as the Deluxe Hotel on Cicero Avenue. I put in all the trustees' mailboxes just as an overview of what they're going to be doing over there, and just for the benefit of the public. They're basically keeping the same building, but it's getting a whole new facade on pretty much every side of the building. They're going to go to more of a drive-it look, new windows, doors, some storefront. All the rooms are being remodeled. They're actually going to move the air conditioning systems inside there. They're actually going to put in a nice landscape out near Cicero Avenue that will include new shrubs and trees and maybe some picnic benches out there. And a brand new parking lot, professionally striped. He's taking down all those brick walls that are up right now where those globes are on top of there and so forth to give it a whole new appearance. And this way they can enhance the lawn and everything that goes around there as well, too. This really will be a nice look. Nice gentleman that came in today, Neil Patel is his name, very nice guy. And I did put him in touch with our TIF consultant. He wanted to know if he was eligible for anything. I told him to speak with Mary Thompson at Kane McKenna. So we're looking forward to them joining our village. And they have a tentative construction date of completion late July. So he said ballpark will be in there someplace then too. But it was a nice look, and certainly if anyone would ever like to see that, certainly you can ask any of the trustees or myself. I'd be happy to share that picture with you, what that looks like then too. Another point of interest, this past Friday, during the week we had a couple of complaints from neighbors over on the 3700 block of West 120th Place. Over the last few years, unfortunately, a gentleman passed away there in a house, and the house is really uninhabitable. And we're all pretty much aware. We've seen this home, and the neighbors were complaining of foxes and critters, more or less, trying to burrow into the properties. It's got a built-in pool with weeds so tall, and I felt it in the best interest of safety, especially with the weather changing. The house is in probate court right now, and I'm going to defer to our new village attorneys, the Kankar Law Firm, to help us with some direction as far as seeing what the village can do in the interest of the residents and the village to possibly raise that house. I informed I informed the Kankar Law Firm of what we were looking at, and I actually went out there Friday with Mike Frater in Public Works, and we secured the perimeter around the pool with snow fencing. Great job, Mike. Thank you for you and your guys. And Mike actually bombed the the built-in pool with mosquito bombs. Yeah, so I mean, those bombs are supposed to be good for about 3 months at a time yet, too. So we're doing what we can to help those folks, and again, we got to secure that pool. Last thing we want is somebody falling in the darn thing. I was out there picking up some garbage with some folks, and actually I met with a member of the Carpenters Union. He just happened to be in there picking up his vehicle stickers today, and he said anytime we need some volunteers through the Carpenters, they'd be happy to help. Just maybe put some patches on those soffits and fascias and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be anything pretty, but we want to secure that property so they don't incur more critters and obviously make the situation worse over there. So thank you to them. Last thing is trustees. I don't know if you saw it maybe on the emails, but this will be Wednesday evening. We're going to swear in 3 police recruits at 7 p.m. here in the boardroom. I have a previous engagement with the Conference of Mayors. I won't be able to attend, but if you're able to, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. That's all I have. Trustee, Village Clerk.
We have the presentation of the minutes for the April 29th, 2017 special board meeting. There is also the presentation of the minutes of the May 1st, 2017 regular board meeting. There's the presentation of the FOIA report for April. There were a total of 19. And then we have the presentation of the IDOT motor fuel tax allotment for April 2017 in the amount of $42,206.42. And just as a reminder that the vehicle stickers are available for purchase now in the clerk's office. They need to be displayed by July 1st. If you are a senior, it is a rate of $5 this year, and you do need to bring your ID into the clerk's office for verification. And happy chocolate chip cookie day. That's all I have.
I didn't get that.
I did get chocolate chip cookie, sorry.
Next report, the village attorney. This evening, we have Michael Kankar with Lewis Kankar Limited. Michael, any report?
No report, sir.
Village engineer? Will?
The construction's completed the surface course for the Arbor Park Airport subdivisions today. They just have restoration left to do.
Nice.
Going pretty quick.
Very good. I know those folks are really appreciative, yeah, too. Glad we had that available for them. We reach a public forum section, folks. Anyone would like to address this board, please come forward. Nobody this evening? Thank you. Standing committees. First one will be Finance. It'll be Trustee McGlohorn.
All right. First, I have a list of payroll dated May 12th, 2017. From the recap, we have gross payroll of $494,205.39. We have voluntary employee deductions and taxes of $180,068.84 for a net payroll of $314,136.55. Next, I have a list of accounts payable dated May 15th, 2017. Read from the recap. Corporate, we have $3,337.56. Road and Bridge, $36,880.09. Motor fuel tax, $2,925. 911, $28,998.09. Waterworks, $66,117.31. And Heritage 2, $7,610, for a grand total of all funds of $145,868.05. I also have a request for approval to authorize the intervention in the Property Tax Appeal Board for Leonian Enterprises property, a.k.a. Swaparama, to analyze the file to determine the village's refund liability. And I have a request for approval to execute the renewal engagement letter from Clifton Larson Allen to provide the FY17 audit services to the village of Alsip.
Thank you. Trustee, only because we didn't have a chance to, I didn't know who was going to be the chairperson for said Finance Committee just now. I'd like to ask, please, if you would consider pulling that from the agenda at this time.
Number 4?
The reason being is, I'd like to, we've had Clifton Larson, right, Mr. Alvin, for some time now.
We have that in their predecessors.
Right. So all I wanted to ask was that I'd like to request that the village attorney maybe prepare an RFP for maybe a 3-year term.
It's not possible. Well, it's possible. It would really be disruptive this late in the game. The fiscal year already ended. We should do that in the subsequent year, but we really shouldn't be doing it right now.
This is the same argument we had last year, though, too.
I got it. And we're short-staffed right now, and we can do it. It will push everything quite a bit further back. Because the fiscal year already started on this, so we're already starting to get materials for the closing of the fiscal year to do an RFP when every accounting firm right now is just absolutely swamped because most municipalities have a fiscal year of that, and school districts have a fiscal year starting, I think, July 1st. This is really their busy season. And I'm afraid that what's going to happen is we're not going to end up with many bids.
My goal is always to be very competitive as much as we can and to try for competitive bidding. And it seems like this same company, which they do a nice job, we don't know that we can't get comparable services at a competitive price at the same time.
I agree, and I think we should be going out to bid. Part of there's a state thing that's been swirling around the state that looks like it's likely to pass, that's going to mandate either changing your audit firm and or there's some talk about whether or not they're going to bring in changing the audit partner and keeping the same firm. And while they've been working through that, we didn't want, because they could force us the next year or the year after that to be changed, and we kind of wanted to see where that was coming down. And now it's kind of gone into limbo.
Okay. And so regardless of the fact that this did not, for some reason, this request did not make it to the consent agenda, it doesn't mean we still can't vote on this as well. So it's because this isn't represented on the
Correct.
consent. So while it's there, if should any member of the committee, any of the trustees feel the same way I do, so be it. You can make that motion to table. Otherwise, we'll leave it as it stands. And obviously, as it's suggested on the agenda, Mr. Attorney, it can still be voted on?
Yeah, it's on the agenda for board action, so
Okay.
it can be voted upon. Just when you do the consent agenda, if you want to vote on it, just add it to the consent agenda
Okay.
orally.
Okay, we'll do that when we approve the consent agenda. We'll add that orally and as one of the letters.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, Ken, we did talk about that last year. I'm sorry.
We
We did talk about it, and even Mayor Kitchen agreed that we needed to change it, and we were going to do it for this
I
year.
agree, and that's when that proposed legislation came up, and it's kind of thrown the whole governmental accounting in a little bit of a crazed world out there, because it looks like the state, there was pushback from the firms and from governments to try to bring that, to get middle ground, and that's why they were talking about allowing the same firm to be able to switch their audit manager and still be able to bid. And they were working how many years between it that they'd need to force the new, how many years between having to do it. Could you do a 3-year contract? Could you do a 5-year contract? And while they were going through that, there's some concern that if you changed it now, you might have to change it again in a year or two once the new law comes into being. So that there was, people were kind of seeing where that shook out.
Is that law in effect now?
It is not. And I haven't heard anything about it recently. But right after last year when we did this, it was being talked about by every firm out there and all the governments out there. And it was really hot news for a while, and now it seems to have been quiet. And to my knowledge, that has not passed yet, but everyone said at that point that they were pretty sure it was going to.
And what difference would it make whether or not that law was in place if we received a lower price from a qualified firm? How would we be doing that?
Well, the worry was that they were going to, that we wouldn't be able to enter into as long of a contract as we were looking to do. So if we entered into a 3-year if you entered into, say, a 3-year contract, would you be allowed to continue forward on that 3 years? And because of that, would a firm give you the lowest price, thinking it's really going to only end up being a 1-year contract and not a 3-year contract?
Are we currently under contract?
We are not.
Okay.
We're rolling forward with. We're not under a multi-year contract with it. This would be a 1-year contract.
And so how does the pricing of this compare to what we've paid in the past?
This is a 2.5% increase in the rate. They've been pretty, I think for the last few years, it's been not anywhere near 2.5%. I think it's been, I think last year was frozen. If not, I think it was something around 1%. They're expecting a little bit more work this year. Is the GASB they're going through the GASB 68 again. There's some GASB 77 standards that need to be worked on. And then we just did a bond refunding and advance refunding. And the journal entries on that get really complicated fast. So they're expecting a little bit more work, not much, but a little bit more work than they had to do last year.
How many
So
years?
the rate went up 2.5%. But this is for 66,000. I think last year the bid was 62. So some of that was rate and some of it's based on additional hours.
How many years have they provided this audit
My
service?
knowledge, since before Mayor Kitchen was here, although there was the predecessor organizations.
So at least 12 years consecutive?
It's more than 12, yes.
It's too long.
I agree.
I move the table.
Second.
We can do that now, because we were going to orally put that in after which anyway.
So you want to go ahead and do a roll call now?
We can do a roll call now, or you want to wait? for
Well,
consent?
all you want is remove it from the,
It wasn't on the consent agenda, it was just
Right.
on.
oh, that's right. Well, you can move the table, you can take no action on it. I mean, you don't necessarily have to table it.
Okay.
Okay, so Sue, don't add that.
I'm not adding.
But then you gotta
Don't
put it on
have
the
a
table,
letter
you gotta
O.
remove it
What
from
do
the
we need a
table.
consensus of?
Yeah.
Can I ask for
Sure.
direction as to where we're going with this? Because if we're going down to RFP, I do need to know that, and it will delay the audit. So we already, for those new on the board, a few years ago we moved so the actuary report does not have a 1-year lag. It's the same year. So the actuary report is for April 30th, 2017, and the actuary needs data from the auditor. The auditor, in order to finish the audit, needs the actuaries. So it's a little bit back and forth. Because of that, we will probably always be applying, as probably at least half the municipalities out there, for the 2-month automatic extension. We already, as I said, when we made that move 2 years ago, we will always be pushing up against that extension. This will delay that. So I can't say whether or not we will get it done by the extension. And by the extension, I'm talking about the Illinois Comptroller's reporting period. Right now, we have, I've been wanting an extra accountant. My predecessor had been wanting an extra accountant. I haven't had administrative assistant since last June or July, I think it was, and that was a temp. And then my intern is now leaving as well this month. So I'm down to an accountant in terms of the audit. The other thing, we have the budget. The last board did not pass the budget, and so we now need to probably start those hearings over as well. And so it's myself and my one accountant for the audit and myself for the budget. So we're up against a pretty busy summer, and I'm going to need, tabling it to the next meeting, I'm going to need some more direction as to where we're going with that, so I can plan.
Do you feel, even if we have an RFP ready, even if we have an RFP ready by the next board meeting, it would be June 5th, is our next board meeting?
Right, well, I mean, he'd be more familiar with the timing and how that works out than I would. I mean, the RFP, you'd probably give him, 21 days to respond, 14 days to respond, something along those lines, and then you'd have to consider the applications and his recommendations on the firms.
So as your point was, our hands are somewhat tied at this point. It would have been nice, and I know we've said this many times, and that's the reason I brought this up this evening, too. Obviously, I've only been in this chair for a week, and again, I want to be as competitive and try and save us money whenever we can. And not to mention, as Trustee McGrail pointed out, too, is I said it before as well, that I think Clifton Larson does a nice job, but like anything else, we should update these services from time to time,
I agree.
okay? Especially when it comes to cost. So again, my function at a meeting like this is to make a suggestion, but ultimately, trustees, it's your decision what action you want to take on this yet, too. So, do we want to?
My only concern is if we're backed into a corner and we're late, are there any financial penalties that the village incurs by, producing our report late? Kent says that even, if we do this, even with the extension, he can't make it. And I
didn't
don't
say
want
I can't make it, but there's a definite possibility of not making that. It's already a tight schedule in any given year, even if you have good staffing.
So it would have to be net neutral for me,
Right.
the money we'd make equal the money we'd lose,
Right.
potentially.
No, great point. We understand that. So as far as the motion and second, we want to withdraw that, and we'll wait till the end of the consent agenda and see whether or not we want to approve that? Everyone on, only because of the circumstances involved?
Certainly because of the circumstances. My concern is that, unfortunately, it's Groundhog Day again. Year after year, I hear the same thing about, yeah, we should have went out for bid, but we didn't, and here we are, and we're under the gun. It seems we keep on making decisions based upon emergencies rather than by forethought. And what I just cannot understand is that as an annual thing, at what point in time did this become a surprise to us?
Well, again, there's a staffing issue here, and I'd like to...
You know what, Ken? I'm sorry again. The prior board, I can't speak for this board, but nobody has denied you personnel. And for whatever reason, they haven't gotten hired. So you can sit there and you can give out the excuses all day long, but it's not right, because you have the ability to hire personnel. For whatever reason, you didn't do it. So you can't sit there and point off, I don't have the people. You didn't get the people.
We'll bring that up at a HR committee meeting.
Okay.
So table or no table?
So it would be, trustees, you want to leave it on the consent agenda then? We can vote on that later?
As far as I can see, we're in a box again.
Right. Agreed?
Yeah.
I'll withdraw.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have the Fire Committee report. And ladies and gentlemen, I need to excuse the chief and the deputy chief. They're both at a fire right now. There's a brush fire right nearby here, and they're taking care of that. So the chair for fire will be Trustee McGlohorn.
I have no report at this time.
Okay. Next is the police report, which would be Trustee McGreal.
I have a presentation of the April monthly activity report and a request for approval of an ordinance authorizing the disposal of items of personal property owned by the Village of Alsip and a property control sheet for deletion of 3 vehicles.
Trustee McGraw, I could kind of speak to part of this. And it was my motion last week to table this. I wanted to take a look at these vehicles. We had 3 vehicles out there between 53 and 63,000 miles. 2 of them, the 2 Dodges, they look like they're ready for retirement. But I would like to keep I spoke to the chief, Grads, earlier, and I would like to keep just 1 vehicle. We're going to be bringing on a building commissioner soon, and the previous building commissioner had used his own vehicle. I need a vehicle for that building commissioner. I'd hate to see that vehicle be lost when we can get it's a paid-for vehicle. So I'd like to keep that, and I'd like to amend this add delete to show just the 2 Dodge Chargers being deleted and keeping the 1 Ford Taurus instead. So this would be letter E. Madam Clerk, if we can amend that to show 2 vehicles instead of 3. And we haven't identified an add delete trustee yet, an officer to oversee this on the committee. So typically we've had the police chair do that, which they seem to have the most equipments there from time to time. So Trustee McGraw, I'll direct it your direction. Would you like to be the add delete officer?
Sure.
Okay. We'll get you the right paperwork for it and everything
Okay.
too. Okay. Next is Public Works. Report from Trustee Juarez.
I have a request for approval to go out to bid for storm sewer replacement project at 119th and Costner. I have a memorandum from Michael Frater. I would like to read it to you. Trustees, I would like to request approval from the board for authorization to advertise for bid the replacement of village storm sewer pipe located along the rear easement of Prairie Junior High at 119th Street and Costner Avenue. This section of storm sewer main is made of corrugated metal and has deteriorated so badly that sections of pipe no longer exist. This has caused a large sinkhole to form and now presents a hazard to the area. Approximately 264 feet of new reinforced concrete pipe would be installed. This project has been appropriated in the 2017-18 budget and is being requested due to urgency of the existing conditions. I have attached photos of the area for your review. Respectfully submitted, Michael Frater. And then presentation of the April monthly activity report.
Anything else? That's it? Thank you. Next is the Building Committee. This is going to be chaired by Trustee Zelinski.
Yes, Mayor, we have a list of bills, timesheets, and requests for approval to hold a fundraiser for the Chicago Police Department's Memorial Foundation on June 3rd, 2017 at the Village's Sportsman's Club at 5201 West 115th Street from 3 p.m. to 11 p.m. That's it.
Great, thank you. Sewer and Water, Trustee Dalzell.
Your request for approval of resolution approving water supply contract with the Village of Alsip and to the City of Palos Heights. The request for approval of resolution approving proposal from Brycer LLC for the enforcement of the Water Department cross-connection control program, and the request for approval to award the grounds restoration contract to the lowest qualified bidder, which is Davis Concrete Construction Company. That's all I have, sir.
Thanks. Next, on the License Committee, Trustee Juarez.
Request for approval of a list of license dated May 15, 2017.
Okay, that's it?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Economic Development, Trustee Pierce.
I believe you gave the report on the Red Roof Inn. I have no further report.
Okay, thank you. Special committee reports, Village Properties, which be Trustee McGlohan.
I have a request for approval to purchase air conditioners from Custom Appliance for Heritage 1 and Heritage 2. This purchase was appropriated in the 2017-18 budget.
All right, thank you. Next is the Insurance Committee with Trustee McGrill.
Just informational that Leslie Yates and Les Peach will be here tomorrow meeting with HR for a liability and workman's compensation review and finance. Yeah, that's all.
Thank you. We already took care of ordinance legislation. The next committee would be IT. Trustee Dalzell.
No report, sir.
Okay. Boat launch, Trustee Juarez.
No report.
And Planning and Zoning, Trustee Zelinski.
No report, Mayor.
Human Resources, Trustee McGrill.
Just information also that Mike Sponberg, our building commissioner, officially retired on May 9th.
Okay, thank you. Any presentations, petitions, or communications? Trustees, a couple to the village as well, a couple quick matters that just came across my desk today. I felt it important just to get this out there because they do have some deadlines. CEDA, which is the Community and Economic Development Association of Cook County, is promoting a program, the 2017 Community Services Block Grant Program provides financial assistance for income-eligible students enrolled in post-secondary educational programs, in other words, degreed programs. The Community and Economic Development Association of Cook County is currently accepting applications for the fall semester or quarter. Students enrolled full-time in an Illinois college or university by September 15th may qualify for a scholarship. Recipients must have primary residence in suburban Cook County and meet established income guidelines. Scholarships can range anywhere from $500 to $3,000 for payment of tuitions, books, uniforms, and fees related to course study paid directly to the designated institution on behalf of the applicant. Applications must be received by CEDA, and they're located at 3518 West 139th Street in Robbins, by 5 p.m. Friday, June 9th, which is why I wanted to bring it up tonight because our next meeting is not until June 5th. as far as a board meeting is concerned. We hate to give all these applicants 4 days to do this. If you have any questions regarding the application, please feel free to reach out to them. We're going to have this posted in our lobby, and actually I met with Jenna Huber earlier from the Park District, and she'd like a copy of this as well. Along with all the information that's available here, they actually do give you some income guidelines based on how many members in a family and what your annual income is, just so you have a rough idea if it's worth your time to apply for these programs as well then too. So if you have an opportunity, please take advantage of this. The second thing, I was recently, a week or two ago, I went to a meeting of the Chicago Southland Tourism, and these folks really do a great job, and they were highlighting a gentleman, this Tom Steruzzi is his name. He bought the Balmoral racetrack, and he has a new organization there known as HITS. HITS, which is HITS, actually stands for Horse Shows in the Sun. The old horse racing track has literally been transformed into an international show for jumping facility for horses. They plan to hold as many as 13 shows a year, primarily during the spring and summer. These are high-end hunter and jumper equestrian horses, and they'll compete for as much as $3 million during the first season of competition. Grand opening celebration is scheduled for Saturday, June 10th, with continuous competition from 8 until 4 in the afternoon. This really looks like a great situation. I've seen a lot of photos of it and so forth. The other thing they highlighted in here, too, was just, again, for the benefit of our public and those that look at our websites, too, the DoubleTree by Hilton and Alsip is proud to announce the continuation of their renovation. The transformation includes the makeover of the property's 193 guest rooms and suites to complement the recent updated lobby and public areas. Also, the Baymont in Alsip is proud to announce the hotel is under new ownership. The new owners have since completely renovated the property, which has been completed as of late January. So, again, want to just take note on matters like that and thank them for doing the updates that they need to keep them competitive and bringing some business to our village. Trustees, next item was any removal of any items on the consent agenda. Anybody want to take anything off there? We're going to add, as the attorney suggested, this will be, Madam Clerk, letter O will be on the consent agenda regarding the request for approval to execute the renewal engagement letter from Clifton Larson Allen to provide fiscal year 17 audit services for the Village of Alsip. So that'll be letter O. Can I get a motion to establish a consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Take a roll, please, to establish a consent agenda.
I need to add in the items.
I'm sorry, you do. You need to add on the list of payroll.
Okay.
Fill in all the blanks.
Letter A should read $314,136.55. Letter B should read $145,868.05.
Trustees, those all
Yeah,
want
it's
to
the
do it.
gross payroll for A. Be the 494 figure.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Trustee Dizelle.
Saving the village money.
I thought it was the net. It's not net payroll.
Yes.
I read the net payroll. He's saying that it's the gross.
Yes.
Do you want the number, Sue? Or you got it?
No, I've got it. I thought the net payroll dollar amount went in there, not the gross payroll.
It's the gross amount. The others are the employee contribution deductions.
Okay. I'm sorry. Letter A should read, list of payroll dated May 12th, 2017, totaling $494,205.39. Letter B should read $145,865.05. Letter E is being amended to be approval of an ordinance authorizing the disposal of items of personal property owned by the Village of Alsip and a property control sheet for deletion of 2 vehicles, those being Dodge Chargers.
Right.
And we had added letter O, as Mayor Ryan indicated, approval to execute the renewal engagement letter from Clifton Larson Allen to provide fiscal year 17 audit services to the Village of Alsip.
Excuse me, I may have heard it wrong, but I thought I heard slight number 140 for accounts payable, $145,868.05. I think I heard 865. I just want to make sure we
I'm sorry,
got it in the record right.
I have it written, 868, okay. Roll call number 2 to establish the consent agenda. Trustee McGreal?
Should we fill in
This
the
is
I think we still, clerk, have to fill in the ordinance numbers. Ordinance numbers for E,
Okay.
F, G.
Letter E will be ordinance number 2017-5-1. Letter F will read resolution number 2017-5-R-1. And letter G will read resolution number 2017-5-R-2. Roll call to approve the consent agenda as presented. Trustee McGreal?
Yes.
Trustee Dalzell?
Yes.
Trustee Pierce?
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski?
Yes.
Trustee Juarez?
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin?
Yes.
Motion carries to establish the consent agenda as presented.
Trustees, any new business?
There was something brought up by Trustee Michaels. He talked about it on May 1st, said he was going to table it till May 8th. We got sworn in, and that sort of got swept under the carpet. The issue about the Dakota Inn wanting approval for an additional structure.
Trustee, I actually, right when you were in session at 6:30, I had the Plan and Zoning Commissioner Graycheck was in my office, and what he said was he went out there with another member. Oh, he was with one of the commissioners, Chuck Rolfson, is on the Committee of Plan and Zoning. They went out and met with the Dakota Inn, and they actually need a little more direction. They did speak with the owner, and so that's pending. We'll going to address that at our next board meeting then, too. He's supposed to get out there this week and talk with them again.
Also, I probably should have brought, have you done? I'm sorry. Okay. Brought this up under finance, but could Mr. Olivan maybe give us some more information on that bill that was outstanding too from Donna Almaker? Do we have any more information on that? And she spoke to the public in public forum asking us to address that bill. So I don't really have that much information on it. If maybe you could provide that to the board so we can address it one way or another.
Sure.
I don't have anything on it.
We don't have it now, but obviously.
No,
we'll
we
come
don't have it
back
now,
to
but I mean, if you can get it to us.
That's fine.
Okay.
Can I apologize. I'm looking at the minutes for the meeting, the first meeting of this month, and it looks like there was a resolution that was passed which would change the numbering of the resolutions that you just did. The 2017-5R1 has already been assigned.
Can you show, what line item,
If you go to the minutes,
what line item are you at? Oh, I'm sorry.
if you
Line
go to the
item
minutes,
191?
if you go to the minutes under your report,
Yes.
the May
I
1st?
see, yes,
under the consent agenda,
line 191.
line F of the consent agenda had a resolution that was passed to be 2017-5R1 at the first meeting of the month.
You are correct. So letter F should read 2017-5-R-2, and G should read 2017-5-R-3. Do you want me to take another roll call?
That's administrative.
Okay.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, very good, thanks.
And, Mayor Ryan, I believe we still need to vote on the consent agenda. We voted to establish, but not to approve.
Yeah, our motion was to establish. I don't think we had a motion to approve. No, you didn't. Did we?
No.
I don't think.
Thank you. Everybody's on a little curve here the first
Yeah.
week, so
First time around, yep.
appreciate the professional courtesy on that one, so.
Also, can we remove something then still?
Sure, because we apparently didn't approve the consent agenda.
Well, we approved.
We did.
We approved the
we didn't
We
Established.
established it.
Established it. We didn't
We didn't
approve
vote
it.
on it yet.
So is it okay to remove anything?
Or we vote on it, sure.
Can
Is
I
that
remove
right?
letter O?
Well, you should have, I mean, you should have removed something that you wanted to remove before you voted to establish the consent agenda.
Because that was asked for.
I think it's because we had done it out of order here.
Well, no, I.
But that's okay.
No, yeah. Well, I guess the way
That's all
to-
right.
I'm sorry?
It'll be okay.
Withdrawing.
Okay, that's fine then.
Okay. So as a protocol technicality, we need to approve the consent agenda. We didn't establish this, but we didn't do.
We established we didn't
We
approve.
established it.
We
now we need to
established
vote
it,
on it.
we didn't approve it. Yeah.
So I need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Right.
Christine?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you.
I think we moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Roll call number 3 to approve the consent agenda as presented. Trustee McGreal.
Yes.
Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Pierce.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Last item of business was a closed session, and it was actually requested by myself. It was more so directed at economic development. So I'd like, Trustee Pierce, could you make that motion?
I'm sorry.
The closed session was actually, we didn't know who was going to be on this committee yet for economic development. That's what closed session was for. Could I ask you please to make the motion as it's written out here as a closed session?
Make the motion to discuss the purchase or lease of real property for the use of public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C5.
Get a second?
Second.
We need a roll call going to executive session.
Roll call number 4 to go into closed session. Trustee McGreal.
Yes.
Trustee Dalzell.
Yes.
Trustee Pierce.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
Yes.
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
Yes.
Motion carries to go into executive session.
Ladies and gentlemen, that'll conclude this evening's business for right now. We're going to go into executive session to discuss, as we said, real property matters. There will be no more voting this evening, but we will adjourn after which, that's all. So thank you for attending. Trustees, about 10 minutes across the hall, please.
You're going to sign it too.
Okay, so we'll call this meeting back to order at 9:01 from executive session. Trustees, before we adjourn, a couple of quick things. One, I meant to mention in executive session, though we were there on a different topic, that I would like, if possible, we talked about this with their economic development group, with the Mannheim group. We feel the need for possibly promoting like a TIF 101 meeting, like based on TIFs, obviously. We want all the trustees to understand what's involved with a TIF, understand what it means going forward as board members and what's expected of the board and what a TIF means to the village. Currently, we've mentioned here before, we do have one business that's interested in reopening a Checkers restaurant, and they actually have a closing date with their bank of like June 1st. Our next board meeting is not till June 5th. So, I mean, if it meant pushing it a few days, I suppose we could, but it's not a good sign to their bank to know if we want to participate with any monies and any involvement with that TIF. So I was going to ask Trustee Pierce, you're the chairman now, Economic Development. I'd like you to consider calling a meeting maybe next Monday, possibly, just based on that, for the trustees to participate, and with Mr. Hopkins and the Mannheim Group coordinating a TIF 101 meeting for the trustees, and Mr. Alvin to support that meeting as well then, too. Okay, so if you decide to do that, please post it with the clerk's office, so we'll set a date and a time and everything like that then, too,
So
okay?
the TIF 101 meeting is just kind of an education.
Exactly, right.
So one thing that, that you and I, during the political season talked about was a little bit more of intergovernmental cooperation.
Sure.
Having sat on a school board for 8 years, I had no idea what a TIF was and how it impacted me. I learned it all on my own. I mean,
Right.
wouldn't it be beneficial, maybe you since you're giving a TIF 101 education course, basically, wouldn't it help to, reach out to, say, hey, you trustees or you board members, why don't you come in and sit in on this? Because it impacts the heck out of you guys.
I agree, and it is an open meeting, and so they're certainly welcome to join us. We'll post that meeting, and we can share that with a couple of the other taxing bodies, as you said then, too. Sure, sure.
Can I interrupt? Two quick things. If school board members and park district members and library board members start to come and interact, do we need a joint, because we're going to have open meeting act violation?
Well, I
No,
think all
no.
you're concerned about is here.
Right.
And they
Okay.
should use their own judgment. But really, they go to seminars all the time. They go to the park district
Okay.
conventions, the
I
school
just
district
wanted to-
conventions, and that's their decision to make. I'm not
The
going
oth-
to
the other thing in-
opinions for them.
And the other thing in terms of that TIF is, it's a TIF 101, but as the mayor just pointed out, we have a very limited time, not through the fault of the village. Frankly, the applicant is coming with a timetable that needs to be addressed, probably by a board meeting this month, and there is not a regularly scheduled board meeting this month. If we had the TIF 101 at the same time that we're actually talking about the application, and there are other taxing bodies there, that could complicate things. Is there a board meeting
The
that
day
you're
after
looking to
Memorial
do
Day.
for this month, on the 29th, or?
What's on the calendar for the 30th?
We have one scheduled the day after Memorial
According to
Day.
the website,
Yes.
there's a meeting on the 30th.
Yes, our last committee meeting is the
Is it
day
the
after.
29th?
Right.
Is the 29th, because May 28th is Memorial Day.
So I thought there was also one listed for next Monday as well on the website.
So the way the ordinance works here, it's not the same way you would think it works. Most places, it's first and third, second and fourth. Here, it's first and third, second and last. So
Gotcha.
10 months out of the year, that's the fourth Monday. 2 months out of the year, including this one, it's the fifth Monday. So the reason I think the mayor is asking you if you'd like one for next Monday is it's one of those few months where the fourth Monday would not be a committee meeting unless it was added to the list. It would be on the fifth Monday, is by ordinance. That make sense?
No, absolutely not. No.
Okay, so first and third are your board meetings.
Okay.
Second and last Monday of the month are your committee meetings. 10 months out of the year on average, the last Monday of the month is the fourth Monday. On 2 months of the year on average, you have a fifth Monday, so your last meeting isn't the fourth Monday, it's the fifth Monday.
Right.
This one is one of those situations, so we would be looking, this would be one of those few cases where the fourth Monday is not a regularly scheduled meeting, but based on timing, the mayor has asked whether or not you'd be, as the committee chair, whether or not you'd be willing to host a meeting on that Monday.
But actually, the fifth Monday is Memorial Day, so the meeting is set for the 30th.
Right, yeah.
See, scheduling 101.
Yeah,
And
the
it's- I
fifth
looked
Tuesday is not usually our case.
No.
No, but this is also our first month back to 4 meetings as opposed to, for the last couple of years, where there's only been the 2 meetings a month. So I guess when I looked at the calendar and I was thinking, all right, we weren't really counting May 1st according to the new calendar. And so I was going with 4 remaining Mondays in the month of May. And it's just the way my
Okay.
thought process went.
So again, I think your question was, would they be willing to have a meeting next Monday? But then the next question is, we actually need to be thinking about whether or not there'd be a board meeting still in May, which would probably, I mean, that's up to all of you, be that next Monday, because, and that's still pushing it because it's the 30th. He has it's an option with the sale, and I think it was June 1st, wasn't it? June 1st. So it really is having the discussion not just about TIFs, but about the specific project, and then a board meeting still in May.
Well, you could do that as an action item of the committee.
Exactly. Just on that topic. Sure.
So you could, and I guess if you did it as an action item on that day, even if you wanted to say, hey, that's a lot of information right now and push it off, you've still got one more week where you could still have another meeting. Just give you one more chance at it.
I apologize. Trustees, that was the reason for trying to do is next week, as far as a more informative class on that, just to get everybody up to speed. And when we have our committee meeting on the 29th, we can have that further discussion and put that in for an action item, even if you decide you'd like to take action at that time.
The other thing with regards to a TIF 101 meeting, we are actually overdue for a joint review board meeting. A joint review board meeting will only have the mayor as a member of that. That is not something where the trustees are members, but you're free to come and as an open meeting. That's also a good time to talk about TIFs, and that's an interaction with all of the different taxing bodies. And we are reaching out to them, and their boards can come to that as well. And that's actually, in a way, not just about TIFs, but it's about specifically what's going on in the TIFs in Alsip, and it's an opportunity for them to ask questions about where we've been and where we're going.
So do you usually get attendance at that? I mean, so...
We do. Where we were last time is we had 2 trustees who would show up. We would have most of the taxing bodies, not all of them. We'd have most of the really local ones. You know, not the
schools,
the schools, Park District, Library Board District,
Moraine Valley,
never Moraine Valleys, never mosquito abatement, stuff like that. Occasionally Worth Township or Cook County, but for the most part, and then there's a public member. For the most part, it was just the people who were staff from those districts who would come, but they're welcome to, and frankly, they should be talking to their board about coming too, because it's a good time to interact. Usually the chair recognizes whoever comes if they have questions.
The one thing I'd like to have done, though, is that proposal from Checkers, if that can be distributed to the new board members, so they've got a heads up.
We can, and I just had it scanned, so we can do exactly that. Again, it's something though that we will distribute, but it's sort of keep close to the vest right now. It'll go to your emails and the same thing, because it has a lot of details about the business, and I just don't know that those are public documents because those are for a specific business. But I'll make sure we get all those out.
Okay. Last item of business before we adjourn. There was a question that was just brought up by one of the trustees to possibly reconsider a vote that we, on a agenda item as item O that we voted on this evening regarding the request for approval to execute the renewal engagement letter from Clifton Larson Allen to provide fiscal year 17 audit services to the Village of Alsip. One of the trustees just asked if we could possibly reconsider that. We can't take action on that this evening, but we can actually poll the board to see if it was necessary to reconsider. Should that be the case, we'd need a motion and a second to even poll the board to do something like that.
Could I get a little bit more information about, this is an audit we're supposed to be having,
Yes.
and we're all, according to what I've been hearing, we're running late on it already.
Yes.
and it'll cost us even more to have it at a later date.
Possibly, yes.
I think it pushes a tight timetable. I wouldn't say we're late right now, but it does push a timetable, sort of pushing the start of the audit out. And it in a perfect year, it's always going to be a tight timetable. I'm not saying it definitely pushes anything beyond that, but it's a distinct possibility.
So what benefit would we have to actually delay this?
Simply put, was to go back to the original request I had made for an RFP for a 3-year contract to go out and go back to score, what I discussed earlier, is the idea that possibly with an RFP, we could get a better rate depending on who replied. But as Mr. Alvin pointed out, while we want to be competitive, we're pushing a timetable here, especially when you add in the factor that we still have a budget to approve by July. There will be a lot of work involved with that. These audits are pretty involved too for him, especially, and the actuary circumstances to get his accounting from that as well. Then too. So there's about 3 different factors coming at us with this.
So would it be even more beneficial if we just approved it for the 1 year and did the 3-year next year?
You know what, trustee, and that's all we're doing anyway. We're just approving it for just this season. There's no contract with this particular company right now, other than for this fiscal year 17 audit. That's it, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, in reality, we should have been looking at this, or the board should have been looking at this in February or March.
Which is what we said we were going to do.
The contract, and then it could have been built into the new rates going into the budget for the fiscal year.
The other thing that was going on in February and March is we were working on refinancing those bonds.
So, and as a professional courtesy, and obviously as a request from the trustee that requested this, a potential poll for this for reconsideration, should anyone be interested in doing a reconsideration of that, this approval that we approved earlier tonight, we need a motion and a second in order even to do a poll. We're not voting on anything other than to see if anyone would be interested in reconsidering.
I'll make the motion just to see where the poll stands.
I'll second.
Okay, so we did have a motion and a second to reconsider, but we are not taking action on this evening, right?
No, you can't. We told everyone you weren't taking action.
Right.
They all left. So
Right.
It wouldn't
So we
be
can't
fair.
do that.
But you're polling the group to see if it's even worthwhile to bring it back
Well,
up as a
here's
next
the
Right, it might
agenda.
not be
practical
worth
matter.
reconsidering if
He can sit on the thing.
Doesn't want
Well,
it.
I shouldn't attribute, but the practical matter, if he sends it out, they're going to the expectation they have the job. If you say, listen, they approved it, but it's going to be up a motion for reconsideration next meeting.
needs to be done one way or
That's
the
being
other,
fair with
but
you.
everyone gets
Yeah.
to
I
vote
think
the way
that's
they
got to
want
be
it. Pull
somewhere.
something
But I
and vote
think
on it
you don't want to
individually.
wait 2 weeks to be where you are right now either. So that's why I kind of recommended you just kind of talk and go informally. If you're not going to get the votes,
Yep.
if you know now you're not going to get the
But it
votes, you
might
might as well
be
go
worth
full
it.
steam ahead and go with the new account. That's the thought process.
Understood.
So we have a motion on the floor to poll regarding the approval to execute the renewal engagement letter from Clifton Larson Allen to provide fiscal year 17 audit services to the Village of Alsip, which was previously approved, but this is a poll to reconsider, correct? Okay.
That's as good as anything. Yeah,
That's all it is.
really-
It's just a poll to reconsider. No action would be taken at this time.
Okay. Roll call number 5. Trustee McGrill.
Yes.
Trustee Delzell.
No.
Trustee Pierce.
Yes.
Trustee Zelinski.
No?
Trustee Juarez.
Yes.
Trustee McLaughlin.
No.
Vote is
3-3.
3-3. Mayor Ryan?
I would vote no.
Okay.
I mean, I just want to say for the record, I mean, I'm not in favor of, this coming up so last minute and the fact that we already are in May to be voting on this. Like I said, it should have been done in the spring. I mean, I would definitely be in favor of going out and getting additional pricing and, trying to make sure that we are competitive on this, but I just feel timing-wise that this is not the time to do it.
And my concern is it's this exact same thing we said last year at the exact same time, and I'm not going to say it's okay to do it again this year. So that's my position. I think it was just with the,
What, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What committee would this fall under?
Finance.
It'd be finance.
It is finance? Okay. Is there a way that we can possibly remind the finance leader?
So you got a
Absolutely.
tickler file?
I mean,
Absolutely. And as our finance director pointed out, unfortunately, many things were coming at him at the same time. It's not a great excuse, as Trustee Dalzell pointed out and so forth, but moving forward, we got to be a little more proactive. And again, with this board just being seated the way it did, I felt it necessary to at least ask the question. As I said, and I was really interested in some competitive costs, and more importantly, not that this company couldn't put out an RFP and still get the same work again, because that could certainly happen. My thing was just, the idea is seeing if we couldn't be more competitive with cost. That's all. We're trying to do everything we can to keep our costs down. And occasionally, if somebody else might have a different take on things. It happened to us last year with our actuary. We found out that after using the same service for a number of years, there was a small flaw that we identified and actually turned out to be significant at the end. So sometimes change is good, and it's always a good idea to consider things like that. That's all.
One note, when we do go out to RFP, I believe that the existing firm should be allowed to bid on it, but
Absolutely.
only with a new audit partner and a new audit manager. You have to have fresh eyes. It has to essentially be a new firm. So the firm can do it, but it can't be the same people again. You need a whole new staff and a whole new partner.
Well, how stale do we have to allow this? I mean, can we put this together right now for the RFP? So either it's ready to go 6 months in advance, or can we let it now, knowing that the term is going to be next year?
I can push out for the RFPs. I can reach out to the other places that have done them recently to get their wording and start working with the finance chair on that. In terms of the companies, I'm on a board with nothing but CPA firms who do governmental work, so I know a lot of them and the partners of them, and so I can make sure it gets out to a good number of people. So I will reach out to my fellow treasurers and finance directors to get a rough draft for the RFP, and I will work with the chair on that.
I mean,
But we can get that. There's no reason we even have to wait till March. I would suggest we wait till after they've started to do some of the school board stuff after those fiscal year. But by the fall, we should be doing this more than enough. I wouldn't even wait till the spring.
But we're at 11 and a half months right now. So if we've got all the difficult work already in place, it's just a matter of pulling the trigger, which should take no time at all.
Trustees, just as a reminder, like the finance director said earlier too, the reason we run a risk here, while we all had good intentions or the actions that we wanted to take here, if this RFP, let's say you could put something like this together within a week, but we're not going to meet again as a board until June 5th, which means that's even, that's, let's put it this way, that's just to approve the RFP to go out and so
Then
forth.
21 days later.
Exactly. And you're waiting until the end of June to get a reply for that. So we couldn't even take action on this till like July. And that was where I was at with this time frame, is that this really pushes us out of the box, as Trustee Dalzell just explained yet too.
So
So
we passed the budget in mid-July.
right. So that's, and again, that was just, as you said, Trustee McGlohorn, in the interest of, I think a few of us said the same thing, just in the interest of trying to be careful not to be penalized and so forth, we got jammed up here. So we won't let this allow it to happen again, and next season we will be more proactive on this, yes. So thank you again. Can we get a motion to adjourn then?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Have a great evening, everybody. Thanks.
He should look like that.
See you manana. Oh, thank you.
Thanks for
All right.
working for us.
That's all right.
I'll see you to start voting.
Absolutely.